What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this one's going to be a little fun. On my last video, I had mentioned that birds are really important. And I kind of wanted to tap into that a little bit more. Because I myself have recently been spending more time learning about how important they are to our environment. Because I never really understood. Um, for example, there was a period in time where we just had so many pests, but we didn't have any birds. And I was still trying to understand the ecosystems and how important the balance is, and if something's not eating your garden, then it's not a part of the ecosystem. But the thing is, was we only had things eating our garden. We had no other part of that ecosystem. So we've slowly began to morph and increase that. But I really just wanted to spend some time and show you guys what we are actually capable of, just by allowing birds into our yard. So starting us off, we're going to be on birdlife.org. And again, I'm not affiliated. This is just information. And these are just some of the websites. These are not all. I'm not just randomly searching or anything. These are just some of the things that when I was learning, I used these sites. And I did some research to make sure, just like when we were in school, to make sure it's a fairly reliable source. Um, I don't have access to any studies, so these are mostly going to be news or organizations about, around birds that are putting news on their feed or whatever. So this one was produced in January 4th, 2019, and it is titled Why We Need Birds, and in parentheses it says far more than they need us. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment if there's any specific things you want me to go over or discuss. I love to get in all the nitty gritty with you guys. And this one is going to be by Jessica Law. Uh, so it says number one is birds control pests. As I just mentioned, birds eat insects, guys. So if that's what they predominantly eat, and that's predominantly what's a pest, that's a match made in heaven right there. Um, so it might be a little extreme to say that we'd be wading knee deep in invertebrates if birds disappeared, but maybe not that extreme. A recent study has shown that birds eat 400 to 500 million tons of insects a year. A year, that's a lot. In China, 2/3 of the diet of house swift, it's a type of bird, consists of agricultural pests. And in forests across the Americas, evening grosbeak becomes a superhero during outbreaks of spruce budworm, providing a biological control worth $1,820 per square kilometer. That is amazing. That is, they are expensive. They're expensive birds, and they useful and free. Birds are so efficient that the nest boxes have become a pest control practice throughout Europe. Birds also pollinate plants. Now, you've heard me say before, save the pollinators, but you don't really know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different type of pollinators. Honeybees are not the most efficient. Birds pollinate plants. For example, hummingbirds. When we think pollinators, bees and butterflies flutter to mind, but bird pollinators such as hummingbirds and honey eaters also make a big contribution, especially in high altitudes or hot climates. In South Africa, for instance, nearly a quarter of salvia species are bird pollinated. Such flowers are lacking in scent since birds favor sight over smell. Oh, I didn't know that. Their role as pollinators benefits us directly. Around 5% of the plants humans use for food or medicine are pollinated by birds. And when they disappear, the results can be dry. I'm not worried about all that. Now, any of you that have seen any of my other videos, you know for a fact, birds be nasty. I say it all the time about the chickens. Someone's like, "Oh, the chicken won't eat this, or chicken won't eat that," and I'm like, "Birds be nasty. They will eat each other if we let them. They disgusting." But there's a reason. Birds are nature's cleanup crew, according to the number 3 on this article. The sight of vultures circling overhead may look foreboding, but it's both their speed of arrival, typically within an hour of death, and their thoroughness which makes them so valuable. Those of you that don't know, corpses cause problems. Real life biological problems. I'm sure we all remember, and we've seen the comedies and stuff where they're rolling the dead man cart, and I'm sure there's been a joke where it's like, I don't want to go on the cart, and they pay the man and they knock out the so and so and throw him on the dead man's cart and they bury him in a hole. What is the reason we did? Well, the process, not the literacy there, but the process was so important, is because diseases and stuff spread so rapidly during death, especially certain ones. So that's what this is mostly, concerning. It says their toughness, which makes them so valuable. It could be days before other less efficient scavengers, such as feral dogs or rats, arrive to pick at the remains. And it's exactly that. They pick at them. They're picky, you know, allowing deadly diseases such as rabies and tuberculosis to develop and spread. Over its lifetime, a single vulture provides waste disposal services worth of the US dollar $11,600. That's an expensive, nasty bird, but we need them. Following the collapse of Asia's vultures, in India's feral dog population surged by 5.5 million, spreading rabies and leading to an estimated 47,300 human deaths. What? Asia lost its birds, and they lost some of their people too. That's whew, poor guys. But yeah, I know it's not, it's frowned upon and they're kind of ugly, but they're really useful. Like, birds are disgusting for a reason, and they're so disgusting, it's clean. I know it's kind of weird and it's kind of mind-blowing and it's hard to wrap your head around. Everything is disgusting in a small space. If they're allowed to do what they do, they're actually pretty clean. And in fact, these guys take baths. Did you know that? They take baths. Birds take baths. Do they use water? Nah, not always. Some of them do. A lot of them take dust baths. And they actually secrete, a lot of birds secrete an oil. They have oil glands. So after they dust, it kills off most of the fleas and the smaller, microscopic pests. And then they start to excrete oil so much to the point they smear oil on their wings. They literally flood out problems like that. Interesting. And we think we have oily skin. Seeds. Oh, my last video I just talked about this. So birds spread seeds. There are certain, so any of you that are familiar with seed saving, certain wet seeds like cucumbers, tomatoes, things like that, where you have to soak the seed or ferment it prior to actually drying and saving it, is because the seeds, like in a tomato seed, the gooiness around that seed is actually, believe it or not, a growth inhibitor. The plant physically makes a growth inhibitor to force something to eat the seed, let the seed go through their digestive tract, and then be planted well elsewhere. They're like, get out of here. Get out of my nest. Parents do not want them in the vicinity. So that's kind of where birds come in. And yes, dogs and stuff, but because of the way that birds process their seeds and stuff, it's a mutually beneficial. So all of that growth inhibitor that's around there is really beneficial for the birds, water intake and stuff. And it also, when they poop, it's literally fertilizer with spreading. So it's like a feed and weed seed or something. So they spread seeds. On here it says, when birds travel, they take the seeds they have eaten with them and disperse them through their droppings. They bring plants back to ecosystems that have been destroyed, and even carry plants across the sea to new land masses. Birds have helped to shape the planet life we see around us and around the world. In New Zealand's forests, 70% of the plants have seeds dispersed by birds such as tui. An even greater duty is borne by Micronesian imperial pigeon as one of the largest birds in the, oh God, I'm going to destroy this, Palau archipelago. It is one of the main seed dispersers across the entire island chain. So, there are literally ecosystems that would die without birds, and there are ecosystems that would do not so great. And like I said, they fertilize. So whenever they're seeding, they're also fertilizing. they're responsible for a large majority of fertilizer added in certain forest like environments, you know, where there's trees and stuff like that. They transform entire landscapes. Habitats like forests, marshes, and grasslands affect people across the whole planet, even those living hundreds of miles away. They store carbon, keep the climate stable, oxygenate air, transform pollutants into nutrients. But without birds, many of these ecosystems may not exist. They maintain the delicate balance between plant and herbivore, predator and prey. Uh, Perfect example in the salt marshes of southeastern USA, where cordgrass thrives, filtering local water and protecting the coast from sea erosion. The salt marsh periwinkle, I'm gonna destroy that, so I'm not gonna say it, grazes upon cordgrass with gusto, where it is not for predators such as oyster catchers, curlews, and plovers. These tiny snails would devour the entire marsh, leaving only mud flats. Yeah, so snails, they bad juju. Birds, they take care of them. They take care of them. So if you have a lot of slugs and snails in your garden, try chickens. Yeah, they'll probably for a little while eat your plants if you just like let them go. But honestly, they generally don't prefer our plants and our fruits that much. They generally go for insects and grasses and stuff, you know, things that they like. Birds keep coral reefs alive. I've not heard this one, so we'll be learning together. Birds, especially seabirds, play a key role in cycling nutrients, fertilize marine ecosystems, coral reefs. They travel hundreds of kilometers to feed out in the ocean, and when they return, they deposit layers of highly pungent guano at their colonies. This guano leaches into the ocean and fertilizes nearby communities, such as coral reefs. A study on the Chagos Islands shows what happens when this process is disrupted. On islands free of invasive seabird predators, coral reefs thrived, with fish growing larger and faster for their age compared to rat-infested islands. Whoa, I did not know that. But I guess that makes sense. Fertilizer, we did talk about that. They inspire science from the technology of fly. Oh, I'm not gonna like really. I mean, yeah, but come on, like they don't need that much credit. Have you already like? Have you ever met a chicken? Like they pretty sure of themselves. Like I don't know why we call each other chickens when it means like scared. Because like if you've met a chicken, they don't care. Like it's kind of like a guinea pig. They will scream at something because the lettuce is too wilty. Like that confidence, confidence. Um, Ooh, here's another good organization. Let's see what it says. So this one is going to be travisaudubon.org. Probably messed that up. It's Travis audubon.org. No spaces. Let's say it says why birds matter. Ecological value. Birds are an essential part of the natural system. They are essential as pollinators and for seed dispersal. Talked about especially native plants. Insects, this one's a good one. Not only do they feed on insects, they feed on rodents and other small animals, natural keeping those populations in check and ensuring a proper balance in their ecosystem. Yes, because they be nasty. Because they be nasty. Birds, like they're not a predator and they're not a prey. They're nature's way of balance. Like you can release certain birds and they will almost always balance the ecosystem. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Why do you think they're so closely related to dinosaurs? They good. It's because they Gucci. They know they got this, with or without us. Bird studies help us advance scientifically. Oh, here's another one. I guess we do have to give them some credit. It says they teach us about climate and the environment. Birds are also key to indicating environmental changes. Okay, I'll give them that one. Large, rapid bird declines alert us to environmental problems that need immediate attention. But like, shouldn't we be monitoring that? Like, do we really need birds? Like, there's other animals that disappear, or are we just looking at birds? Because like, I mean, deer. If there's too many dogs, the deer are not going to be here. They don't like dogs. Dogs don't like deer. Just how nature works. But anyways, economic impact. All right, fair enough. Birders, because like bird watching is a pretty popular hobby. Spend money on gear, gas, food, lodging. So like it's an industry. It's an industry basically. There's people like according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, bird watching is the fastest growing outdoor recreation in the country with over 47.8 million participants in the U.S. While birding is among the most inexpensive hobbies one can participate in, birders choose to spend millions of dollars per year in travel and equipment costs. Well, that's pretty cool, man. Like because everyone loves watching nature. So like that just means like the nature is helping pay to restore the nature. Hopefully, um, I hope that's where it's going. I don't know if that's where it's all going, but it's cool in theory. They save us millions of dollars a year, past social significance. Cool, cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much the majority of it. Like I said, that birds they be nasty. They nasty, but they're really useful too. Like there's a lot of aspects that we just don't think about. I've literally been in the garden. When I garden, I always let the chickens out and run around because all the snakes that come out when I'm gardening, all of the field mice, if there was a rat, if there were any complications, they will kill it and eat it. And they'll fight over it. Like there's more. Go get another one. But like in certain areas, like if you have young plant sprouts, they really do like those, which can be useful if it's weeds. That's kind of like chicken tractors. Those are pretty useful. It's using that basically. Birds are all you need. They also till for you. So and they eat worms and everything else, and then they poop, which makes more worms. And so yeah, just try to get, if you have a lot of birds and you have a very diverse set of birds, I think you'll be doing a lot better. So if you're having a lot of pest issues, you're just having a lot of issues growing and stuff, check out what birds can do for you. um, they're, like I said, they're so beneficial. Realistically, you can't put words on it. They are the balancer of ecosystems. And but I was very happy to learn this with you today, guys. I actually did learn some new stuff, so that was pretty cool. Like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, anything specific you want me to cover, studies, research, stuff like that. Really been enjoying it. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Be kind out there. Peace and have a great day.